Hi, welcome to Conversations. I'm Judith Leblein. You know, the shark has gotten some bad press over the last 2 summers, and we are going to find out more about sharks today thanks to Dr. Alex Antontou from the Shark Research Institute. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
The shark, so misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are they the predators that the press has made them out to be?
No, they're really not. That whole media frenzy, it became a media feeding frenzy last year with all the reports on the shark attacks that occurred in Florida and off the Carolina coast. And in reality, when you look at the statistics, there were no more shark attacks last year than there were in previous years. Actually, for the US, it was an average year. And for the world as a whole, it was actually below average. So
why the frenzy? Slow news weeks?
Yeah, I think it was, because if you look at the what was going on in the world last summer, leading up to September 11th, there really was not a whole lot of, dynamic news for the media to report on, and so, the shark attacks became something that they could look at, and then once September 11th came around, you didn't hear of any more shark attacks. In fact, but they were still going on, as they would normally, but they were not being reported on.
Well, I can remember upon the release of Jaws, a movie that still scares me.
Sure.
All I have to hear is that dun dun and I'm scared to death. Immediately following Jaws and Peter Benchley's book Jaws, there was the same sort of media attention and fear among everyone.
Yeah, there was, and it sparked a whole, it really hit a nerve in the public, and creating that tremendous fear of wanting to go into the ocean, and in fact it kind of led to individuals going out to catch sharks and kill sharks because they were afraid that they were going to just start attacking bathers and swimmers. And
well, you're going to have to work really hard to convince me because I get a little nervous at an aquarium. I'm a city girl. But tell us a little bit about your fascination with sharks, first of all. When did you become fascinated with sharks?
Well, when I started diving, which was back in the early 80s, I started learning about sharks and their role in the marine ecosystem and what they were there to do to maintain the balances in the marine environment. And then I started reading about one shark in particular, which is the whale shark, which really sparked my interest. And I started learning about the whale shark. And then that's what brought me really, in essence, to the Shark Research Institute. And things have kind of evolved from that point on.
Tell us, if you would, about the Shark Research Institute. What are the missions, that they've established?
Well, the SRI, which is the Shark Research Institute, was actually founded in 1991 by a group of individuals who were members of the Explorers Club in New York. And they actually saw what was going on with sharks around the world and how they were being slaughtered by the millions to primarily satisfy the Asian market, the demand for fins primarily. And so they formed the organization Shark Research Institute, which is a scientific and conservation organization dedicated to the study and promotion of conservation of sharks around the world. It is a non-profit organization.
Out of Princeton, New Jersey.
Out of Princeton, New Jersey, yes.
Now, I've met you through your work at Rutgers University as well. You're involved in aquatics there and diving and all the aquatic activities there?
Correct. I'm director of aquatics for the recreation department at Rutgers University. And so I'm involved in all aspects of aquatics there, and a part of that is scuba diving. So we offer scuba lessons to students, faculty, staff, and then we take them on trips too.
Now, I would think that sharks might be an enemy of scuba divers, but you're telling me that scuba divers love the shark.
They do.
Why?
Well, because it's such a fascination, and actually it's becoming more and more rare to see sharks in the wild, and that's as a result of the tremendous overfishing that's going on with sharks in all the world's oceans.
Now explain to me, you talked about the Asian market and the fins of shark. Explain that to me. Why is it such a priceless commodity in Asia?
When it comes to the fin, which is the most valuable part of the shark for the Asian market, they convert it into shark fin soup. And a bowl of shark fin soup can fetch, at least $100. And in some cases, we've heard reports as high as $250 for a bowl of shark fin soup. And it's really a status symbol for the Asian community. And it's something that they have to be seen eating in public with their friends. It's not something that they would, eat themselves at home where no one would see them. So it's very much a status symbol thing, because shark fin in and of itself has no flavor and no nutritional value. It's by the time they're done with it, you end up with some strands of gelatinous spaghetti-like material, which is what they put in the soup. And then they flavor the soup with things like chicken stock, because it has
Everything tastes like chicken.
Yeah, exactly, because it has no taste. So it's purely a status symbol thing.
And there's no medicinal purposes. I know from time to time I've heard about shark cartilage in the treatment of diseases.
No, not at all. In fact, it was once believed that sharks don't get cancer, and then that's what led to we need to eat shark cartilage or shark meat or whatever it is. But in fact, that statement in and of itself is not accurate, because sharks do get cancer, and sharks have been found with tumors in them. So there's absolutely no medical evidence to suggest that any shark products have any medicinal value whatsoever.
So there's really two issues: people that go out intentionally to hunt them and get them for some type of bounty, and the other is the accidental fishing of sharks. They're caught up in nets along with other fish and that sort of thing. Is that a problem?
Well, it's mostly long lining, a long lining vessel, which is a fishing vessel that puts out a long line, and at set intervals there'd be another line dangling down with a hook on the end. So you have these vessels that put out miles and miles and miles, as much as 20 miles or more in length of these long lines that would catch tuna, billfish, and sharks. And a majority of the animals caught on a long line would be sharks. So the bycatch in nets is really minimal compared to what they catch on long lines.
Now you have to dispel a myth for me, something about scallops, that the scallops we get on our dinner table or we order in a restaurant is really shark meat. Have you ever heard that?
No,
I have had
haven't,
friends, I love scallops, and I always order them, and whenever they're large and they're all pretty symmetrical, my friends tell me, that's really shark, you're really eating shark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't actually heard that myself.
Oh, well, don't order scallops
No.
then. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Shark Research Institute.
Sure.
You're like the public relations firm for sharks,
Yeah.
making sure that people understand sharks and make sure they understand their importance to the overall ecology of the sea. You also take people out to meet them.
We do. Part of the goal of the Shark Research Institute is to heighten public awareness, not only to the Institute, but to sharks, and to make them aware of what's happening with sharks around the world. And so we have a number of research expeditions where we actually invite divers, and in some cases snorkelers, to come with us. They get some training, and we actually use them to help us with data collection. And we've been doing that extensively with whale sharks over the last few years, because there are certain parts of the world where we know we can go and find whale sharks. So we run specific research expeditions to study the whale shark.
Well, let's talk about the whale shark, because I know that we have some footage of it, and many people have never seen a whale shark. It's a gentle giant, you've called it?
It is. It's really, it's called a whale shark simply because of its size, but it is very much a shark. But it's one of a couple of sharks that are actually filter feeders. So they're not predator sharks like you might think of, the white shark or the hammerheads or some of the other
Just
sharks.
its size alone, I would think white shark,
No,
so large.
It is. It grows 50 foot or more in length.
That's a lot of plankton.
Yeah, it does. It's continuously swimming and feeding. And in certain parts of the world, when there's abundance of food, you might find concentrations of whale sharks.
So your particular interest in them, and the Shark Research Institute goes out and you tag these sharks. What does that mean?
Well, let's step back a second. The reason we're studying the whale shark specifically right now is because that over the last decade or so, it's really become a targeted species, and we've seen significant declines in their numbers around the world, where normally we would have numerous sightings. And so we started working with the whale shark back in 1993 with a visual ID tagging program where we actually use modified spear guns to shoot tags into the skin of the whale sharks. So we started tagging them back in the early 90s, and then more recently we've started with the development of technology, as everywhere else in the world. We've started studying the whale sharks using satellite tags.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll actually deploy satellite tags on a whale shark so that we can track their movements and find out, what they do during their normal day-to-day lives.
Since the Shark Research Institute has gotten involved with tagging and the observation of these whale sharks, are you seeing increases or decreases in their numbers that you're aware of?
No, it's continued to decline.
It has.
Yeah, and in fact, the satellite tagging that we've been doing is actually showing us that the whale shark is more migratory than we once thought. And when a species becomes more migratory, it makes it more vulnerable to fishing activities. Because, for example, whale sharks are protected within the Galapagos Marine Preserve. Right? But if it's migratory and it moves out of protected waters, then it becomes vulnerable to fishing activities in waters where it's not protected. So.
And perhaps would they in some way be farmed or fed so that they would migrate? I mean, is that something that could happen if people wanted to get a hold of their precious fin?
No, they're not farmed. I mean, the fishermen know where they would find them. Yeah. And they're pretty easy to find once they're at the surface. They're relatively slow moving. They do come right to the surface and you can't miss them. I mean, it's a big fish. So,
I'd say.
And that's what was going on in India prior to the ban last year. It's
so
still,
they were hunting these whale sharks in India,
specifically.
And pressure from around the world stopped it.
International pressure from conservation groups, as well as the fact that their numbers were declining significantly. So they, and again, a place like India, none of the whale shark was used for local consumption. It was all exported to the Asian market. Well, I'll take that back. They kept the liver that they used to extract oil from. Outside of that, the fins and the meat was all exported to the Asian market, and primarily Taiwan was the main importer of whale shark products.
Well, that's kind of a bittersweet victory, I would imagine, because you get them to stop the legal hunting of these in India. However, it will become more of a commodity because it's going to be harder to get and turn more expensive.
Yeah, and you'll see, it's, undoubtedly there'll be some poaching that'll go on, which is happening actually in other parts of the world, like the Philippines, where whale sharks are in fact protected, yet there are poachers that catch them illegally. Sometimes they're caught and sometimes they're not.
Well, if you're just joining us, we're talking about sharks, in particular right now about the whale shark with Dr. Alex Antontou from the Shark Research Institute. Let's talk a little bit about these dives, because you're looking really for volunteers, people who would like to travel and help you and the Shark Research Institute tag, in particular, whale sharks. Where might these travels lead you in the world?
Well, we have 3 destinations currently that we're really focusing on. One is off the island of Utila, which is one of the Bay Islands of Honduras, and there it's primarily whale sharks. So we've been studying the whale sharks there for a number of years now. Another destination is La Paz, which is on Baja California, on the inside in the Sea of Cortez. And there we're studying the whale shark, and now we're recently beginning to look at the hammerhead shark, the scalloped hammerhead shark, and also the giant manta rays, which are still part of the shark family. Rays are part of the shark family.
I didn't realize that.
They're all part of the elasmobranch family, so sharks and rays. And then more recently, we're also running expeditions to the Galapagos Islands, which is on the equator off the coast of Ecuador.
Now, as a kid reading National Geographic magazine, I would always gravitate towards any stories about Galapagos, because not only for a chance to see whale shark, but what else might you encounter there in the world of unusual animals?
Well, the Galapagos, which were obviously made famous by Darwin in his theories of evolution. But it's such a rich environment. It's such a pristine environment, as pristine as you might find on this planet. And the national park there is doing, all it can to maintain it that way and keep it that way.
Most people are familiar with the large turtles.
Yeah, the giant tortoises of the Galapagos. You also have other indigenous species which are only found in the Galapagos, like the blue-footed booby birds.
I have heard about them and never seen them until you shared that with me.
And then you have the marine iguanas, the only iguana that swims and feeds in the ocean. So it's such a incredibly rich ecosystem on the land, and now we now know it's a rich ecosystem underwater as well. It's actually been given the label as a World Heritage Site, both land and water.
What would a typical day be like if you were to get in touch with the Shark Research Institute? You're a diver, or you can snorkel or dive, or you just want to volunteer, because as I understand it, you don't have to dive.
Right.
And you could help out on an expedition. What might a day be like?
Well, the typical day, I mean, these are, just understand, they are working expeditions.
It's not a vacation.
It's not a vacation. People are not just coming to do a dive vacation with us.
It's work.
It's work, so people need to be prepared to actually work. So we'll go through the training. There's besides the tagging of the animals, which is done by trained individuals, not just anybody will get to tag the animal. There's all the other data collection that goes around that. We do photo and video ID of the animals. So we have people that take photographs or shoot video for us. There's environmental data logging, sea conditions, atmospheric conditions, other marine life, things like water turbidity, oxygen content. All of those measurements would be taken on an expedition, because we try to draw some correlations between the environmental conditions and the sightings of the animals. Because there would be times where we might not see a particular species that we're looking for. Let's say in Honduras, we might not find whale sharks on a given expedition. So if we can establish what conditions were present at that time, that might lead us, to the
future trips. You can focus right in as well.
Yeah, so so we can understand better, why and where and when the animals would be sighted.
What's the profile of someone that might go on one of these trips? Is it all ages, all interests, all backgrounds?
Yeah, we've had families come, with children, but we've had them, in the case of children, from as young as 12 all the way to retired individuals that have come and helped us on our expeditions.
So you get some great diving.
Yeah, you do.
You get a mission, you get to help the ecology, and you get to see some sights that some people will never in their lives see.
Absolutely. We kind of think of them as guilt-free vacations, because people are paying to volunteer to help the Shark Research Institute. And for us, it serves a number of purposes. It gets people that help us with data collection. And then it also does do a little bit of fundraising for the Institute that helps maintain or keep the research going.
And I bet, just like my experience, I found out about you and your program from a friend who went on a tagging trip and tells the rest of the world how important whale sharks are to the sea and to sea life. Now, is it dangerous? Can it be dangerous?
No. I mean, well, anything in life can be dangerous, right? I mean, there are more attacks from bears on land than there are sharks in the sea. So,
Well, I don't want to meet a bear either.
That doesn't stop people from going into the woods, right? No, we do everything in a nice, controlled way. Safety is always important. We want to continue the research.
And have you had repeats, people that have come back over and over again to help?
Yeah, numerous people. We've had people that have come on 2, 3, and in some cases 4 expeditions with us over the last couple of years. So.
Well, the pictures and the footage is absolutely beautiful, but I would have to stay on shore or on deck to help out because I don't think I'm ready to get in there and swim with a whale shark.
We can find a place for you, Judith.
Now, you can adopt a whale shark.
You can. We have a whale shark adoption program where school children or adults, for $10 a year or $100 for a lifetime, you can adopt a tagged whale shark. So it's one that's been tagged, it has a number, it has a name, and we'll actually send you a certificate that tells you who tagged it, where it was tagged, when it was tagged, the name of the shark, and then if there are any subsequent resightings of that particular whale shark, we'll let you know.
Oh, how interesting.
We'll let you know.
It must be popular with school kids.
It is. It's very popular with school kids.
I think it'd be great for them to learn and understand about the shark and maybe broaden their interest in some area of the biology or ecology.
Yeah, we get a lot of, letters and emails from young kids, who found out about us. They know what's going on with all the shark killings in the world, and they, at a young age, they're asking us, how can we help? How can we get involved?
And this is a perfect way to adopt a whale shark. Now, if people want to find out more and they want to perhaps get involved in one of your trips, let's say, or the expeditions, you have several coming up in 2003.
We do.
Tell us about the locations and.
Again, Utila, La Paz in Mexico, and the Galapagos. We have expeditions coming up. They begin May, I think, is the first one next year. And that'll be posted on our website, which is sharks.org.
Okay.
Or they can send an email to expeditions@sharks.org. Okay. And then we'll let them know how they can participate.
Are there other sorts of fundraising activities that the Shark Research Institute gets involved in, or are they dependent on foundations and grants? How are they funded?
We do get grants. We get small grants from certain foundations like PADI, which is a big scuba certifying agency. They have a couple of foundations, Project Aware, that have given us funding in the past. We're also a membership-based organization, so individuals can become a member of SRI, and they get quarterly newsletters and updated information on what's going on with the Shark Research Institute. So
now, we may have piqued someone's interest that's watching in scuba diving. And here's your chance to urge people who have been on the fence, they've been thinking about it. Is it easily achievable? Can anybody of any swimming ability do it? Tell us about scuba diving.
Yeah, scuba diving is an incredible activity. Besides the sharks, what you see underwater, in the underwater realm is just incredible. From the smallest of fish all the way up to the largest, which is the whale shark. So it's just
basic requirements. You need to swim. You need to be in good health.
Basic swimming, good health, and going through all the sequences and steps and natural progressions. We try to. About
how long would it take to get certified if somebody wanted to get involved in this kind of activity?
It can take as little as 3 weekends.
Really?
2 weekends of academic training and confined water training, which is the swimming pool, and then 1 weekend of going out to do your training dives in the open water environment.
It seems like a very small payment for that kind of experience, to be underneath that beautiful world and that beautiful silence. It must be incredible.
Well, when you think about it, the diversity of life on the reef by far exceeds the diversity of life on land. And we're still learning more and more about the marine environment. More species are still being discovered. As we start to go deeper and deeper in the oceans of the world. We're discovering more and more life. You know, when you think about it, we actually know more about space than we know about our own oceans on this planet. So deep water exploration and marine exploration is just continuing to grow at this point.
And is scuba diving still as popular as it has been? Has it increased? Because I know you teach it at the university as well, at Rutgers.
No, it is. It's still very popular. At Rutgers, you know, we keep it as low cost as possible because we want students, you know, we don't want it to be the rich families kind of sport. So we make it as inexpensive as possible for students. We provide all the equipment so they don't have to buy anything. So it's really affordable, so we get a lot of students going through our programs.
I know a lot of my friends that camp, that ski, that also love scuba diving, and it seems to be almost a lifestyle. If you're into scuba, you're also into one of those other activities, kayaking or hiking, and just you know, a little more bonded with nature than most.
Actually, that's very, very accurate, because Colorado has the highest percentage of divers per capita than any other state in the country. Absolute numbers, it's about third or fourth.
And no ocean.
And no ocean. But again, you look at the lifestyle, it's the skiing, adventurous, the climbing individual, and so it's those same individuals are the ones that gravitate towards scuba diving as well.
Well, I certainly have learned an awful lot about sharks, and maybe I'll give it a little bit more consideration if I'll join you on one of these trips one day. I'll have to work up my nerve. But certainly we've learned a lot. Dr. Alex Antontou from the Shark Research Institute and also Rutgers University, I thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And for all of our viewers, there's nothing like a great conversation. See you again.